and welcome to the Sports Zone. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Tamia Spells. On today's episode, Rachel and I will be breaking down our brackets. You also get to hear from some students about tech trivia. Next, we'll be talking about the firing of Coach JJ. And then we'll be finishing it off with our new sports science segment.
Okay, so let's get started with breaking down our brackets. There have already been a lot of upsets this year. Not a whole lot of perfect brackets anymore. How are you doing, Tamia?
I would say the jury's still out. I mean, I guess it's decent, but Cincinnati definitely messed me up. Like, I had them going so far, and I can't believe that, like, they really just got upset in the round of 64. I'm so disappointed. Like, I don't know. What about you?
I'm doing okay. Oklahoma messed me up by losing, and then Ohio State messed me up. I had a couple of losses, but the teams that lost I didn't have going too far, so hopefully I'll be okay in the end. Now, what are your final four teams?
My final four teams are Florida, Louisville, Arizona, and Villanova.
And who do you have in the final?
Louisville and Florida.
And who do you have winning?
Florida.
Okay, that's pretty close to mine. I have Florida, Michigan State, Arizona, and Louisville. Then I have Louisville and Florida in the final, and Florida winning.
Okay, well, I guess we're kind of on the same team here, so we'll see. But I definitely just hope the upsets and the things don't go too far. I mean, I actually had Dayton going over Ohio State, so that worked out for me. But I called another upset, and I think it was Texas and Arizona State. I think I called that for an upset. That didn't work, but it was close. And Louisville scared me last night. I could not believe that they almost lost. It was just, I was like, no, you can't. Like, imagine what our brackets would look like if Louisville had lost.
We would be in big trouble if Louisville had lost. I was definitely scared. I almost called the NC State upset, and I was watching it, and they missed all their free throws, and it was pissing me off. But yeah, it's always fun, but it's always a stressful time of the year.
People don't understand why it's so serious. I was upset last night. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Cincinnati. That's all I talked about. And everybody was just laughing at me. I'm like, no, y'all don't understand. I mean, it's not that serious, but
it
is at the same time. You understand.
Every year, I always feel like I have a really good bracket. I'm like, I got it this year. And then first day, it's like 5 of my teams have already lost. But for me, the biggest challenge is trying to watch the games in class, because I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
But I can't show a lot of expression, the teacher's talking. All my classes only have 20 people in them. It's sort of obvious sometimes, but.
And Rachel is such a star student that she doesn't really want to be distracted on her laptop.
Yeah.
In class. So I guess we'll have to see how right Rachel and I are. We'll keep you updated and keep breaking down our brackets with some more episodes over the course of the next month or so. And now we did something. We took it back to Man on the Street, and we tested students about different spring sports, and it was fun. It was a fun thing. Just take a look at it.
Let's just say students don't know as much about spring sports as they do about fall and winter.
Yes.
In the Sports Zone.
Okay, guys, do you know who the leading scorer for the lacrosse team is?
No.
That's okay.
No.
Fuck Creek.
No, it ain't. It's Funk Creek, bitch.
Oh, Funk Creek.
The lead score?
Yes.
I know what lead and score means. I know that lacrosse is lax. So I'm going to say 42.
Okay.
No, I do not.
And it can be any team. How many championships do we have all together just for this year?
Altogether?
Just for this
Cumulative,
school year.
all the sports.
Yeah.
14.
We didn't even talk about this.
Okay.
What do you think?
14.
Okay.
Maybe 1.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I'll go
Three.
with 2.
You go with 2? And you'll go with 1. Okay. It's 1.
ACC stands for awesome, cool, close, confidence. Which could only mean that the answer to this question is 17.
Okay.
Oh, this year?
Yeah.
I know we won in wrestling. That was probably it.
2.
No. Can you?
No.
Baseball players.
We into the baseball. We into baseball. Come on now.
Casey Wade Cade and
Come on.
Jewish Brown.
The Virginia Tech
On the Virginia Tech team?
Free cookies and brownies.
Alex Herbert.
Okay.
Zagunis. He went to high school near me.
I just Jenko. And
James Johnson.
what's your
I hope they hire a better coach.
Mr. That's very unfortunate.
Okay.
James Johnson. That's it. Yeah, he just got fired. Yeah.
what's your opinion on that?
I think we should have kept Seth Greenberg in the first place.
Oh. JJ. Anything about him?
Nothing. Yes. Coach JJ.
What is your opinion on that firing?
I think at some point you gotta kind of hold the players responsible too.
Okay, so the first question was, who is the leading scorer on the women's lacrosse team? And the answer is
Megan Will. She's a junior attacker. So the next question is, how many ACC championships has Virginia Tech won this year?
And the answer is 2. 1 with wrestling and 1 with swimming and diving. The next question was, can you name 3 baseball players at Virginia Tech?
So I can name a number of baseball players, but 3 of them are Sean Kaselka, Mark Zagunas, Sage Janko, and then the last question we have is, do you know the name of the men's basketball coach who just got fired?
And that is Coach James Johnson, Coach JJ. And we also asked people about their opinions on the firing of Coach JJ.
So some of the students had varied opinions. Now we're going to talk about our opinions. I'm disappointed because I really liked Coach Johnson a lot. He was a really nice guy, great to talk to. I sort of felt like he should have gotten another year because he went into a really bad situation, but at the same time, I don't know if he would have ever been able to bring himself out of that situation.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Coach JJ was a nice person, but people don't really look for if they're a good person, if they're winning, you know. And because he wasn't winning, I feel like that didn't matter as much to people. But people forget that he did come into a really bad situation. He was an assistant head coach. That was his first time being a head coach, and also this is one person talked about they have to hold the player accountable sometimes, and that's definitely true. When you look at what we had out there on the court, most of them were still Greenberg's players, and those were the ones who weren't performing as well. And then when you look at the talent that Coach JJ himself brought in, those were the baby freshmen that were really getting off and performing at a high level. And then 3 in particular is Bennett Melagoo, Devin Wilson, and even Trevor Thompson. And you forget that they're freshmen when they're out there playing, because they're playing with such great skill. They're picking up the basketball IQ is improving game by game. But they still make mistakes. Trevor still makes a lot of mistakes, and you get upset, but it's oh yeah, he's a freshman. Whereas when you look at some of our older guys like Sidurian Reigns and Joey just started playing really well the past couple of games, but he's been here for quite a while. So it's when you look at those guys, you get really frustrated, and those aren't even Coach JJ's guys. So I think people don't understand that it's not just he's not just to blame. They're not just to blame. It's a mixture of everything.
I think it's the whole combination, especially going into how many players we've lost over the past 2 years in the transition between Greenberg and JJ. We've lost players who've won national championships, who are playing in the tournament right now, who are succeeding beyond our imagination.
Yeah.
And just looking at if we had Dodo back, if we had Harrell back, we could have been a much different team.
Yeah.
But we lost those players because of the coaching change, because of issues with coaches, because of a whole different ball of mess.
Yeah. And I also think, I kind of think that this decision was I think it was a political move, I'm not going to lie. I think he just wanted to get in and show, I'm not just going to sit around, I'm going to actually do something as, the athletic director. And that's fine, I understand. It's easy, I think Coach JJ was an easy scapegoat because he had a losing record. But, I just think it was just overall it was just a political move because we could have gave him another year to see how much he could dig himself out. But I guess at the same time, how much would it really matter if the players, how many of the players would have been leaving? Sedarian and Jarrell, he would have still been stuck with, you know, some of Greenberg's players, but he would have been able to bring his in. So are we going to lose our recruits that, you know, because that's what happened with Coach Greenberg. So, like, it's just, I don't know. It didn't sit too well with me.
I do think it was somewhat of a political move, but I also really like Whit Babcock and was really impressed with his press conference he gave. Everyone's talking about it. He sounds like he's going to be a great person to pick the next head basketball coach, and I'll be happy if he takes his time, looks outside of Virginia Tech to find a new head coach, which is something that our old AD wasn't too fond of doing. So I think in the end, I love Coach JJ. In the end, we might get a better basketball coach out of it.
I hope so. I think they were talking about, like, people were suggesting different coaches, and Shaka Smart came up, and it was like, oh, you know, he wants too much money. They didn't want to pay anybody more money than Beamer. And, like, this person isn't going because they're going to stay in the SEC. This person isn't coming because they're going to. So it's just like, I mean, it'll be interesting to see who we get next year.
It'll definitely be interesting. I haven't heard any solid candidates that people are really looking at as possibilities right now.
Who would it appeal to come over and take over Virginia Tech in the state that the basketball team is in?
I mean, Virginia Tech has pluses. They're in the ACC, which is a great conference, going to get even better when Louisville comes in next year. We've got Syracuse, Louisville, Duke, UNC, Pitt, NC State, who was in the tournament this year. Virginia Tech, a couple of people have said Whit is definitely going to be offering more money than
Weaver.
Than Weaver was willing to do. Maybe not a whole lot of recruits, but it's a whole sort of fresh system. You're not gonna look much worse than JJ looked. They're not gonna have much worse of the last 2 seasons than we had. You have a lot of room to improve. I think it's not the most appealing job, but it's somewhat appealing.
Well, yeah, I guess it's appealing. It would be appealing to some people. I'm just interested to see, like, what, because if you're already in a good conference, or if you, like, I don't know, we're like the dead last team. So, but I mean, I guess it has its perks. But what's really bothering me the most about this whole Coach JJ firing is, like, now it's like some rumors and stuff starting to come out. Like, y'all already cut him. Let him go in peace. You know, like, let him go. Like, they're saying, like, oh, he was a tyrant. Oh, he had long, intense practices. A basketball player almost went through the event because of the drills. And I'm like, what is that saying about our players and not necessarily our coach? I'm like, if your team is dead last, what type of practices are you going to have? Like, really soft, like, let's just work on, like, I don't understand. I'm like, okay, he had long, intense practices and they still was terrible. So, like, what are we saying that to say? And I'm like, just don't try to attack his character on the way out. Just let him go and, to keep it business professional and just let it go.
Yeah, that's really been bothering me because there's one person in particular who has been tweeting a lot about it and saying he's talked to the players and the players didn't like him. Well, the players shouldn't like him. They weren't doing well. He shouldn't have been happy with them. And from everything that all the media have experienced, he was a much nicer guy than Greenberg. He was much more caring. In his last press conference in the last home game, he started crying about the team. He was emotional and he actually cared about the team and how well they were doing.
Okay, so the last and new segment that we have for you is sports science. So we decided to look at the draft combine, NFL draft combine, and we looked at some things. We were like, this sounds interesting. How good really is that? Logan Thomas is the fastest quarterback with his 40 time. Well, how fast is that really is what Rachel and I wanted to answer. And so we took it out to the field, we took it out to the track, and we tested it out to see if an average person what would their 40 time be in comparison to some of our guys at the combine. So take a look at this clip.
Hi, I'm Shanae, and I'm the scientist for this sports segment. Outside the lab today to see how Rachel and Tamia did compared to players in the 2014 NFL Combine. First drill was the 40-yard dash.
I think that I'm going to perform well in this 40-yard dash, which actually may be more than 40 yards.
Getting ready for the 40. which may actually be a 60. We're still gonna kill it. It's okay.
The results are in for the 40-yard dash, but actually they ran a 60-yard dash. For the 60-yard dash, Tamia ran a time of 10.28 seconds, and Rachel ran a time of 11.42 seconds. But I used a trusted math equation to convert that to what it would be in a 40-yard dash. And based on those calculations, Tamia ran a time of 6.57 seconds if it was a 40, and Rachel would have ran a 7.61 second dash. Now let's compare this to the results of the players from the 2014 NFL Combine. The overall best 40 ran was from Dree Archer from Kent State, who is a running back. He ran a time of 4.26 seconds. First overall score came from Cyrus K. from Alabama, who is an offensive lineman, with the score of 5.9 seconds. Now let's take a look at the scores from our players. Logan Thomas ran 4.61 seconds. Kyle Fuller ran 4.49 seconds. James Gale ran 4.7 seconds. Anton Exum ran 4.59 seconds.
So it looks like, we didn't have the top
We don't have the top times.
40 times.
But, okay, we were running more, so we probably got tired and slowed down at the end, which probably affected our overall score. Since the score is averaged, we don't really know what time we would have got.
But it's important for all of these types of drills. It's just the technique and the training, what you eat, all of those things really go a long way with helping you perform well in these drills. So just having the experience that a lot of these people have, working with some of the skilled position coaches and stuff that they have that can knock off some of their times for these things is really helpful. But definitely knowing the technique. For example, when we do the 3-cone drill, it's going to be important to watch your hips and keep your hips low to the ground. And in this 40, which was a 60, you want to watch your start times. Like, you want to start off pretty quickly and don't waste any time. So
yeah, you definitely want to make sure you keep your head down till the second half when you can keep your head up. Get your strides really long, punch through the first beginning, and just make sure you run fast.
And grind it out, or you won't get drafted.
It also helps if you have the right equipment. The next drill is the 3-cone drill.
Okay, ready to take on the 3-cone drill. Ready to set the new record for the 3-cone drill. I don't know who has the old one, but they're going down.
Okay, so I'm going to take on the 3-cone drill, and everybody at the draft is going to be wondering why they didn't invite me to the combine.
Results are in for the 3-cone dash. And based on my calculations, neither Tamia or Rachel will be able to join the NFL. Tamia was faster with a score of 9.02 seconds, and Rachel was slower with a record of 9.86 seconds. So the overall scores for the 3-cone drill in the 2014 Combine score was from Daniel Sorensen, who was a free safety from BYU, with the score of 6.47 seconds. The worst 3-cone time was from Lewis Nix, who was a defensive linebacker from Notre Dame, with the time of 8.9 seconds. How our players did in the 3-cone drill. Logan Thomas did 7.05 seconds. Kyle Fuller did 6.9 seconds. James Gale did 7.19 seconds. And Anton Exum did 7.05 seconds.
Well, looks like we're not gonna be drafted anytime soon, huh, Tamia?
No, we might not be drafted, but I could have been, I could have got invited to the combine. I was a few seconds off of this big defensive lineman who was very big, and that's probably why his score was so low. But if we had the proper training.
Yeah, we had zero training.
I haven't been to the gym in a long time, If we had that training, I think we would have knocked off some seconds and would have beat Toronto. Yes. Or maybe got close. Or at least came in our players.
Yeah, I think we could have done a little better with some training. Maybe if I didn't eat so much over spring break, that would have helped. Okay, that's all we have for you on this episode of the Sports Zone. Thanks for tuning in.
Make sure you tune in every Monday to keep up with our brackets and March Madness. Keep it classy, keep it real, and stay in the Sports Zone.